House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is leaving Democratic leadership after Republicans won the majority. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is remaining at the helm of a chamber Democrats still control. But both said President Joe Biden should run for a second term in 2024 after what they described as an excellent first 2 years in office. The Democratic congressional leaders' comments came in their first joint sit-down interview with CNN's Jamie Gangel over lunch at Hunan Dynasty, a Chinese restaurant on Capitol Hill in Washington, where the two have shared meals for years. Pelosi said Biden, who at 80 is already the nation's oldest president, has done an excellent job in the White House. I hope that he does seek re-election. He's a person with great vision for our country. He's been involved for a long time, so he has great knowledge of the issues and the challenges we face, she said. Pelosi also said Biden is the most empathetic president. He connects with people. The vision, the knowledge, the strategic thinking is all here, she said, pointing to her head. The empathy is from the heart. And I think he's a great president. Asked if Biden should run again, Schumer said, "Yeah. He's done an excellent job. And if he runs, I'm going to support him all the way." The interview took place less than 3 weeks before Pelosi steps down as Speaker after Republicans won a slim majority in November's midterm elections. The California Democrat plans to remain in the House, representing her San Francisco district. The American people have gotten wise to him. Took a little while, but they did, Schumer said. The New York Democrats said Americans watched as pro-Trump rioters attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, and said voters' understanding of the danger to democracy is partly responsible for Democrats' stronger than expected showing in this year's midterms. I don't think we should talk about him while we're eating, Pelosi said of Trump. The comments by the Democratic duo come amid the possibility of a Biden-Trump rematch in 2024. Trump has already announced his 2024 candidacy, though he is likely to face a competitive GOP primary. Biden has not made a formal announcement, but has long maintained he will seek re-election, saying he will officially decide early next year. A new CNN poll conducted by SSRS found little appetite for a rematch between the 2020 rivals. In the interview, Pelosi and Schumer detailed their actions on January 6, 2021, as Trump-supporting insurrectionists attacked the Capitol. He wouldn't put him on, Schumer said. Asked if Trump would not take their call, Schumer said, "Right. Correct." Those calls came 3 days after a high-stakes Oval Office meeting at which Trump considered replacing Rosen as acting Attorney General with loyalist Jeffrey Clark so that Clark could use his powers to attempt to overturn the 2020 election. In that meeting, Trump was told that if he followed through on that plan, top Justice Department officials, including Rosen, would resign. Pelosi contrasted Trump with the Republicans she'd worked with as House Democratic leader, including former Speaker John Boehner. She described Trump as insane. "I think there's a need for an intervention by his family or something. I don't think he's on the level now," Pelosi said. "If he had a regular smartphone, we could reduce the number of conversations because I could just text him," she said. The two discussed a heated Oval Office meeting with Trump in December 2018, during which Trump said in front of news cameras that he would shut down the government over lawmakers' refusal to fund his U.S.-Mexico border wall. "Chuck was masterful," Pelosi said of the meeting, in which Schumer prompted Trump to make the declaration that he would shut the government down. "She set him up so I could go in for the kill," Schumer said. Schumer said Pelosi was able to successfully navigate Trump's presidency because she treated the Republican like a child. I tell people Nancy instinctively knew how to handle Trump because her first 35 to 40 years of life she raised 5 children," he said. Schumer said despite Pelosi's departure from House Democratic leadership, the two will continue to speak regularly. "I will be certainly calling," he said, "and seek her advice and a feeling of what's going on in the House and what we can get done."
Malaysia landslide kills 12 at campsite, more than 20 missing. The landslide in Selangor State, on the outskirts of capital, Kuala Lumpur, occurred before 3 a.m., tearing down a hillside into an organic farm with camping facilities, the State Fire and Rescue Department said in a statement. Tay Lin Xian, 22, said she was camping with 40 others when the landslide struck. "I heard a loud sound like thunder, but it was the rocks falling," she told Malay-language Daily Berita Harian. "We felt the tents becoming unstable and soil was falling around us. Luckily, I was able to leave the tent and go to someplace safer. My mother and I managed to crawl out and save ourselves." She said one of her brothers died, while another is in the hospital. More than 90 people were caught in the landslide and 59 have been found safe, with 22 still missing, according to the Fire and Rescue Department. In addition to the 12 dead, 8 were hospitalized, it said. One of those taken to the hospital was pregnant, while others had injuries ranging from minor cuts to a suspected spinal injury, Health Minister Zalia Mustafa told a news conference. District Police Chief Sufian Abdullah said the dead were all Malaysians and included a child about 5 years old. Almost 400 people from several agencies had been deployed for search and rescue efforts that were ongoing, he told a news conference. The landslide came down from an estimated height of 30 meters above the campsite and covered an area of about 1 acre, according to the Fire and Rescue Department's state director. Footage from local television showed the aftermath of a large landslide through a steep, forested area beside a road, while other images on social media showed rescue workers clambering over thick mud, large trees, and other debris. "I pray that the missing victims can be found safely soon," Malaysia's Minister of Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change, Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad, tweeted on Friday morning, one of several ministers who were heading to the scene. "The rescue team has been working since early. I'm going down there today." The disaster struck about 50 kilometers north of Kuala Lumpur in Badang Kali town, just outside the popular hilltop area of Hentang Highlands, an area known for its resorts, waterfalls and natural beauty. News agency Bernama tweeted that all campsites and water recreation areas around Badang Kali had been ordered to close immediately until further notice, citing the Minister of Home Affairs. Pictures posted on the Father's Organic Farm Facebook page show a farmhouse in a small valley, with a large area where tents can be set up. Selangor is the country's most affluent state and has suffered landslides before, often attributed to forest and land clearance. Leong Jim Meng, another camper, said he and his family did not expect a landslide as it had not been raining heavily, with just light drizzle in recent days. "My family and I were trapped when the soil covered our tent," he told Berita Harian. "We managed to run to the parking lot and called the authorities. They arrived quite quickly, about 30 minutes later." A year ago, about 21,000 people were displaced by flooding from torrential rain in 7 states across the country. Stock futures are flat as investors look ahead to Federal Reserve speakers. Stock futures were flat Friday morning as investors responded to data that elevated concerns of a looming recession and looked ahead to a slew of Federal Reserve speakers scheduled for later in the day. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 3 points, trading near the flat line. S&P 500 futures were fractionally lower and NASDAQ 100 futures were slightly higher. In a continuation of Wednesday's sell-off, the Dow dropped 764.13 points, or 2.25%, for its worst daily performance since September on Thursday. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ composite fell 2.49% and 3.23%, respectively. Thursday's disappointing retail sales report suggested inflation is hitting consumers more than expected. This has investors concerned that consumer spending is slowing, a sign that the economy is weakening. With these latest declines, the market is heading into Friday with all the indexes poised to notch a second consecutive week of losses. Stocks have been falling in the wake of the Federal Reserve's 50 basis point interest rate hike to a target range between 4.25% and 4.5%, the highest rate in 15 years. The central bank said it would continue hiking rates through 2023 to 5.1%, a larger figure than previously expected. After gouging themselves on hopes for a Fed pivot, equity traders are experiencing indigestion from yesterday's FOMC statement, which reiterated Jerome Powell's theme of higher for longer, said John Lynch, Chief Investment Officer for Comerica Wealth Management. Investors will be watching Friday for before-the-bell earnings from Olive Garden parent Darden Restaurants, which could provide more insight into consumer spending patterns. They will also look for any hints on future Fed policy from speakers John Williams, Michelle Bowman, and Mary Daly. Investors are trying to gauge the pace of future rate hikes and the central bank's view of the economy. There also will be data coming in the morning with December's Purchasing Managers' Indexes within services and manufacturing. The indexes are seen as gauges of business conditions. Manufacturing is expected to come in at the same rate as November, while services is expected to increase by 0.3 points. Big owners of U.S. Treasuries cutting back holdings as yields rise. Some of the biggest owners of U.S. government debt have pared back their holdings substantially, the Treasury Department reported Thursday. Japan, China, and the United Kingdom reduced their collective Treasury holdings by $91 billion in October as yields rose and investors worried about inflation. The Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates, and those increases have fed through to the Treasury market. In all, major foreign holders of U.S. debt cut their portfolios by $110.6 billion for the month. Over the 12-month period from October 2021, the total fell by $475.3 billion, a 6.2% decrease. U.S. government debt increased during the period by $2.33 trillion, or just over 8%. China in particular has been slicing its Treasury exposure, decreasing holdings by $155.8 billion, or 14.6% during the 12-month span. The benchmark 10-year Treasury yield soared in that time, rising from around 1.48% on October 1, 2021, to 4.1% by October 31, 2022. Yields move opposite prices, meaning big jumps in yields eat into capital value of bondholders. Adobe gained 5% in extended trading after the company offered a strong outlook when reporting earnings. The company came in above analyst expectations for fourth-quarter earnings, according to Refinitiv. Revenue was in line with expectations for the quarter. Adobe gave an optimistic outlook for the first quarter and full year at a time when many companies are reining in expectations. For the first quarter, Adobe expects to earn $3.65 to $3.70 per share after adjustments on revenue of $4.60 billion to $4.64 billion. Analysts polled by Refinitiv had expected $3.64 in adjusted earnings per share and $4.64 billion in revenue. The company also reaffirmed its full-year guidance for both measures. Stock futures opened lower as investors came off a second day of selling off. Futures tied to the Dow lost 40 points or 0.1%. S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 futures both shed 0.1%.